started. This is a committee meeting for the Finance Committee. My name is Councilor Green. I'm joined by Councilors Hogan and President Pro Tem Fay. First item is from Budget Director Rudd, but I don't see him on. So do we want to move into the second item then, which would be from Dave Clifford?
If we could do that, Councilor Green, I'm texting him right now to see where he's been delayed. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm not sure I see Dave Clifford either, though. So, Janet Burke, let's do item 3.
Sure. I'm sorry, Councilor. Can you tell me which item 3 is? I don't have it right in front of me.
It says adoption of new retention schedule for New
Oh, yes. This is a really good one. We've been waiting for many, many years for our retention schedule. Research is the in charge of the records management for the city. And we have been working from an antiquated retention schedule that hasn't been updated, I don't think, since the early 2000s. So mostly the things have stayed the same, except there's been additions for email retention and more of the up-to-date 21st century stuff. So we're very happy to have some clear ideas as to where we're headed with that. And with the council's approval, we would like to adopt the new schedule.
Any questions on this from the councilors?
I don't have any.
No questions.
Okay. Are you guys both comfortable moving this item?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good. All right, let's go
Thanks very
back.
much.
Thanks, Janet. Let's go back to item 1, Budget Director.
I assume we're talking about the letter, right?
Yep.
So yesterday we had a financial advisory committee meeting that I know Councilor Hogan and Councilor Green attended, and I shared the materials with Councilor Bay, and that outlined how in FY20, because of all the changes related to COVID and changes in revenue, we spent more than we were authorized to spend of the fund balance because our revenue was down. So it's not like we spent more than we were planning, but we spent less, but we didn't spend enough less given the revenue shift. So we're asking permission to use the previously authorized fund balance from FY19, and we're asking for $5 million. Right now, we think it will only be about $2.3 million that we'll actually spend, but we just don't know all of the. It's not all finalized. So basically, we're asking for $5 million just in case there's any changes that we would need to cover.
Questions from the council? Councilor Hogan and Bay, any questions on this?
I'm still thinking at the moment.
Tim, so I mean, how will this work? We'll work this, and how will we present it to other counselors? Will it come to you come to them in a graph type deal like you gave us yesterday in the contingency committee, or what?
I'm happy to share that page with the whole group, and I'm happy to go over it with the whole group if they want.
Okay. So this is all from the 18-19 fund balance, the $5 million. I know you went over it, but I don't specifically. I remember talking about the fund balance, but I don't specifically remember the 18-19 part of it. So
I didn't really highlight that part, but essentially, yesterday there was a part that showed we were going to overspend by $2.3 million, and then either way, it's coming from our overall fund balance. So to start FY20, we had $51 million. And then, but essentially we didn't use all the fund balance. The way it technically works is we have to ask for the fund balance from the previous year that we were authorized for to use. But that's the way we're doing it, and that's the way people have done it in the past.
That last figure of $33 million being left in the fund balance, that will be at the end of fiscal year 2021?
Yes.
Okay.
If everything went the way we are currently showing, yes.
Okay. Well, they better be, Councilor Rudd.
Hopefully it's better than that, but yeah, at worst,
Okay.
hopefully that's what we do.
Okay, good. I'm
But
okay.
just for clarity, so overspent by 2.3, I believe you said, and what you're requesting now takes it to what exactly?
So we're asking for up to $5 million of the previously authorized in FY19 use of the fund balance that we didn't use in order to cover the difference between the revenue and expenses for FY20. Do you want me to share that sheet again right now and just show it? I think that's the easiest way to explain it. But
I'm looking at it right now. So that's the 8.9 that we're looking at minus 8.9 total, or the 7.3.
so if you look in column K, there's the fund balance.
Yeah.
And so we had 51 million to.
Tim, you should pull it
Sure.
out.
All right. Can everybody see the Excel file with revenue and expense?
Yeah, it looks better in front of me right here on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So this column has the fund balance. This shows revenues by FY20, 21, and 22. I didn't put FY19 on this, but in theory, in practice, we started with 51 million. In FY20, we planned to use 7.7 million. In the end, we needed, because our revenue changed by 21 million and our expenses went down by 18 million, we ended up spending 2.3 million more of the fund balance than we planned. So this letter is basically saying we're asking for up to 5 million from FY19, which isn't here, but we didn't spend all that we were authorized for. And that's how we're going to cover this. Hopefully we only spend 2.3 or less, but we're just asking for 5 million just in case anything else changes. And then as we went through, we were saying the plan is that at the moment, we think at the end of FY21, we would have 33 million in the fund balance, which is 14%. We really don't want to go below 15%. So we want to be having a plan for the next fiscal year that does not rely on the fund balance.
Understandably, we don't want to, in the following year be dependent on the fund balance. That's quite the gamble, though. Obviously, we don't know what circumstances will be then. Correct? I mean, we could very easily be in a predicament where we would have to still do what we don't want to do. Am I wrong in assuming that?
You mean that we could be in a position where we have to use the fund balance again?
Right.
Anything is possible when there's all this uncertainty. Like the changes in revenues and expenses are so unpredictable given the pandemic that we're trying to be responsible and get to what we think is the revenue, like to base expenses on the revenues that we are really certain on to avoid that. So in this situation, we were saying that FY22 probably has to start as like a $229 million budget, which is much less than, for instance, the budget we authorized.
Gotcha.
It's 9% less than the budget that was originally passed last year, and it's 2.5% less than the contingency budget that we're currently operating off of.
Understood.
But it's because we're basically we're trying to get off of our use of fund balance, which was a recurring challenge before the pandemic, and then it got exacerbated with a pandemic.
Right. Okay, appreciate that. I'm all set, Councilor Green.
Okay. Other questions, Councilor Hogan, Councilor Pachella? If not, is everyone that's on the Finance Committee comfortable with this item?
Councilor Green, I apologize. I had trouble getting onto WebEx, and then I couldn't get my audio to work. So,
Okay, so
if you have any questions?
let's just clear out this item before we go. So, Councilor Bay and Councilor Hogan, are you comfortable with this item?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I'm all set, Counselor. Yep.
Okay. All right, thanks. Okay, Commissioner Clifford, do you want to move on to your item?
Yeah, as soon as I can pull that up here. I'm having a heck of a time with these.
We've got one more item. Do you want to just move to that one and while you get set up?
Sure.
All right, so item 4 is with the API team.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon. I acknowledge that I haven't met everyone in this group, so please bear with me, but my name is Nicolas Diaz, and I recently started as the city's Chief Innovation and Data Officer. Super thankful for the opportunity. Just very briefly, I'm going to talk about this letter of request to accept the pro bono assistance that software company Ptolemy is currently offering us. So just to give a very high level context of where this request came from, but it is a truism that cities should use data to make informed decisions. For that reason, my team at API has been developing and implementing our data warehouse that will service the entire city. And a data warehouse is basically a tool where we centralize data, migrate data from antiquated systems, and give us the opportunity to apply different analytical tools. But a data warehouse is just, to use an analogy, it's just the structure of the house. And as we move into any house, we need to connect to water, electricity, etc. So in this case, the water is the data from different systems and applications from the city, and we need to build the appropriate, what's called data pipelines to our data warehouse. So basically what Ptolemy is offering their expertise and through this Pro Bono assistance chip is helping us build those data pipelines because they have a lot of experience and expertise working with municipal data systems. We're hoping that this agreement ends up saving considerable amount of time and effort from our team's data engineer over the coming quarter.
So I guess the question is, what's this company's business model? Why give it to us for free? Is there a sales after it, or how does this all work?
Sure. To give further context, this is a company that has already been working with the city, in particular with MBD, through a collaboration through a different tool of them, which is called Building Blocks, which is more of a front end, sort of like a tool, like a software tool. They've realized that there is a market opportunity for helping cities build their back end, but they haven't developed a product yet. So they're using this opportunity, this partnership with us, as a sort of pilot for them to refine what would be their business model. So for the next city that they work with, they would have a more concrete product to sell.
Are there other companies that do the same thing already, and who are they, and why do we think this is the right company?
There are a number of companies that already do this sort of service. One that I'm particularly familiar with is called Civis Analytics. Why I think Ptolemy is a great partner, beyond the fact that they're offering this assistantship pro bono, is that they have a lot of experience working with municipal data systems through their other products. So to give a little more detail on their other product, Building Blocks, that's an application that produces housing data and combines data from a variety of sources, say assessment, water billing, etc. So they already know how to extract the data from systems and put it together. The difference is that instead of building it on their tool, they're building it on top of our data warehouse. So they already have a lot of experience working with a lot of cities, and they've proven to be a great partner through us, through our other work with MBD.
So I'll show my ignorance here, but I'm not sure I fully understand what the data warehouse means and what that physically would entail.
So currently, the city produces a lot of data, and that data is stored in different systems. Some is in servers that are on the premise. Others are in applications that different departments use. But when we need to do analysis, we have to extract that data from those systems, which takes a lot of time and effort. So a data warehouse, in this case, we built it based on our collaboration with Microsoft. So we're leveraging their Azure platform. It's a data warehouse that is on the cloud, and where we quote unquote pipe a lot of the data from the systems in a way that's centralized and in a way that we can clean it and we can produce analysis in an easier way. I know that these are very technical terms, so apologies for that, but I'd be happy to try to explain it even further if that's required.
And then, okay, so it's a 1-year contract at this point in time, right? And then how do we anticipate what happens after that year?
That's a great question. So what the company is saying is that they will help us for the duration of this contract in a pilot format for a number of particular use cases. So looking at particular data sets that we need. If after the year ends, the city sees fit to continue this application and take it further and look for other use cases, they will offer a paid continuation of our services. Does that mean that if we don't continue their services, that the work that we did was meaningless? No, because we will still have done a lot of work with the pipelines that are already in place.
Questions from the other counselors?
Mr. Diaz, my question is, why are you before us instead of somebody from IT? How's that work out?
Well, my team has, so we do both innovation and data, and my team is in charge of doing the stewardship for the data in the city. So we have a data analyst, data project managers, one data analyst, one data project manager, and our data engineer. And part of our work consists in setting up this data warehouse and really driving value, using our data assets to provide value to city departments.
So you're aligned with IT. IT's okay with this? We're not operating different silos or anything like that?
Absolutely not. This we've been in constant collaboration with our IT department, and which has been a huge support for us. And we expect that through this partnership, we'll also lighten the load for them as well.
So, I mean, would this be this obviously be official contract that would be sorted out through the law department, and any kind of liability issues with this thing maybe not performing like it's supposed to, that would be borne upon the Opportunity Space Incorporated?
I'm not sure I follow the question, but we've been working very closely with our law department as well.
Yeah, Pat, it's Joe Barry. I've been working with Mr. Diaz to draft up a contract, and we'll have our standard terms in there to protect the city from liability.
Okay, and what about obviously they're doing this, I mean, I'm not ascribing any motives to them, but they, it's great that they're doing this just out of their magnanimity, I guess. But would this involve any kind of intellectual property that would just be theirs, and once they create whatever they're supposed to create, that means we're sort of locked into them for year after year, or what?
That's a great question, and it's something that our team is always mindful of, to not create what's called vendor lock-in. Based on the scope of the work and the contract that we've drafted, the data pipelines that we create will be ours, will be the city. So at the end of this process, if we say, you know what, thank you for the help, but actually we don't plan to continue working with you anymore, that year of work will still be incredibly valuable for a data warehouse.
And you're going to tell me Opportunity Space is a City of Syracuse company, aren't you, Mr. Diaz? Or
they're based in Massachusetts.
Where are they?
Based in, actually, I may have misspoken, but no, they're not from Syracuse.
Where are they from?
I'll have to look that up.
Okay. And we'll obviously get a look at the contract before we vote on this, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, that's all I got, Councilor Green.
Well, first, it's kind of hard to make a case against pro bono, at least initially. But maybe somebody can draw the distinction between the services that Mr. Diaz is describing, and then maybe the incapability that Mr. Proack was describing on part of the IT department. It would seem that this effort would have provided some of the relief that was being described relative to the IT department when the discussion was going on about using county help. And I don't deny the fact that I can be off base in some respect, but is there anybody on here who can clarify a difference between part of what was the express IT struggle and then the services that Mr. Diaz is describing?
Frank Oliva, the city's chief administrative officer. I can try to clarify, Counselor. I think Mr. Diaz has started to do that. So what we described in the previous conversation was the data and the data warehouse and the analytics around the acquisition or the process around the acquisition and analysis of data as being of exceedingly high value to the city. That's really what one of the major components of API under Mr. Diaz. How we move that data physically, the systems, the fiber, the PCs, all of the networks and the switches, that's really been the focus of IT, as opposed to the content that fills those pipes. They've been focused on the pipes itself. And the API team for a number of years under Sam Edelstein and now under Nico are very focused on the information that actually flows through the pipes that, for lack of a better term, that IT maintains on the city's behalf.
I appreciate that, Frank. That was very clear. Yeah, and I understand. You're talking about the actual gold versus the shipping of the gold. I'm saying gold because that's what data is considered these days.
Fair enough.
Valuable as gold. I appreciate that, Frank. I'm clear, Councilor Green. Thanks.
And just Councilor Green, I like to commend Mr. Diaz in this whole effort. It seems like he's a very solution-oriented person, and I commend you on finding somebody who wants to work with us and not charge us any money. So thanks, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Counselor, sorry. Counselor.
I just wanted to ask Mr. Berry, when the time comes, is it possible to share the contract with the council just for our review?
Yes, we're in the process of fine tuning it now.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions on this?
Councilor Green, I was wondering if all of these enhancements into the data warehouse will require training for the people that will be actually using it to retrieve data or whatever other usage.
Thank you so much for the question. we're sort of hoping to go in the opposite direction. One of the purposes of the data warehouse is to make analysis more easily available, even to department and other users that don't have the technical skills. So it will be mostly my department implementing the data warehouse, and one of the many uses that we can have from the data warehouse is the ability to automate reports or to build dashboards or to extract information more easily, so that departments that want to do data-driven decisions can do so without needing exceedingly difficult technical skills.
Thank you.
Okay. So I want to dig into this a little more, but I'm comfortable moving it out of committee, and there's other questions we can bring up for the full council. Councilors Bay and Hogan, are you comfortable moving this out of committee?
Yeah, we can move it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nico. I appreciate it. Okay, Commissioner Clifford, you're up.
Yeah, once again, I apologize for being late. My item is the reappointment of Joseph Saya to the Board of Assessment Review. Mr. Saya has served on the Board of Review for many years. He's been extremely effective. As a matter of fact, they keep appointing him as the chairman of the Board of Review because he's able to work very well with the public and explain things very well. And so long as he's continually willing to serve, we'd like to see him remain on the Board of Assessment Review.
Commissioner, are there any vacancies on the board?
Well, that's a good question. The board is supposed to consist of 5 members. We have 4 that have been serving. We have a 5th member that was appointed, and she has never served. She's never appeared for the last 2 years. Her term runs out.
Problem.
Yeah, her term runs out next year, and I was going to wait and let that naturally, fade away, and then ask that the council appoint someone else.
Does she get paid when, or is
No, they only get paid for the meetings that they show up for. So, unfortunately, in order to serve on the Board of Assessment Review, there are certain qualifications you have to have. You have to take a course. It's a very small course, a short course given by the Onondaga County Real Property Tax Director. And this is part of the New York State law concerning boards of assessment review. And I don't believe she's ever even gone to that course. So we've been operating with 4 members is what it comes down to.
Does that create issues? I mean, are they ever deadlocked 2-2? And
we haven't had that circumstance come up.
Okay. Questions from the council?
Commissioner, they've been paid the same scale for what, 25 years or something?
For quite a long time. Yeah, it's $100 a session.
And how many sessions do they have a year?
It really varies. It's hard to say. Maybe 20, maybe sometimes more, depending on how many people come in to grieve.
We might want to look at raising their pay. I know a lot of those guys are long-serving, or a lot of those people are long-serving folks, and
that's true.
And it is it's one of those things that it's like those election inspectors. It's one of those things that the machinery of government needs people to serve like that. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, but I also am cognizant of the fact that next year's budget is probably going to be a difficult one. But even with something where theoretically maybe we could report a proposal that would schedule a pay raise, like at 2 years or something like that, that may also help with that. So just something to think about. Is everyone comfortable with this item?
Yes.
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 Okay. All right, so those are all the items for this committee. So we're going to move all 4 of them, Tim, and that's it. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Councilor Green, I just wanted to bring up that I had sent out a board appointment schedule, and that was on there as far as the woman that was not never went to training. So obviously, Saya just was up last month or 2. There are a few other appointments to be made by the end of the year. If you want to take a look at that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilor Green.